Hi, welcome to Overthinking Entrepreneur. I'm Megan, and I've had a successful online business for a few years now, and I think I overthought probably about 90% of my decisions along the way. Honestly, I just overthought whether I should say 90% or pretty much every decision in this intro. So if you find that relatable, you are definitely in the right place. In this podcast, I will help you get out of overthinking and into action so that your online business can finally start growing. Hi. So this week, I want to talk about some quick tips to help you find a little more balance in your life and your business. And this is not something, first of all, I just want to start off by saying I am by no means perfect at this. I definitely struggle. I think that we all do. But I think I have a little bit of a different perspective on this than a lot of the people that I talk to. And it's something that I've noticed a lot of people struggling with, some of the people in my membership, some of the people I've had conversations with. And we are now heading into what can be one of the craziest times of the year. Although I feel like lately, is there a time of the year that isn't considered to be crazy anymore? It just seems like everyone's getting more and more overwhelmed and busy as we go by. But we all know holiday time can be extra intense and really hard to keep kind of all your plates spinning in the air. And so I thought this might be a good time to just talk a little bit about how I think you can achieve some more quote unquote balance in your life and your business. So I want to start out by talking about how I view balance and kind of my personal definition of it, because I think there's different ways you can look at it, and you certainly don't have to adopt my way of looking at it. But I think for many of you, especially if you struggle with this, that you'll find my way of looking at it a lot more helpful than how you might be looking at it. So I have noticed that a lot of people really don't like the term balance, and they they have like a reaction to it. And upon digging deeper, I have found that many people who have this type of reaction to the concept of balance, and actually, quick little side note before I finish this thought is you don't have to use any term that doesn't align with you. If there's a term that you just don't like for whatever reason, even if you try and shift your perspective on it and it still just doesn't jive with you and it just doesn't make you feel empowered, it makes you feel stressed when you hear it, don't use that term. That's totally fine. You don't ever have to use a term just because someone else uses it or says that you should look at it differently. But I do think you should try to look at it differently first and see if that helps. And if it still just is not for you, totally fine. Don't force yourself to do things just the way that other people do them if it's not good for you. If it's not good for your mental health, if it's not helping you at all, right? There's so many different ways that you can look at these. But anyway, I have noticed that a lot of people who get really overwhelmed at the concept of balance equate balance with even. They're picturing in their head that type of scale that's like two little platforms, and you have to get the even amount of weight on either side to get them perfectly balanced. I think that's what a lot of people go to in their mind is when they think about trying to balance work, if they have a regular job, and then their business, and then their family, and their personal life, and their mental health, and finding time for themselves, and like all of these different things, is having in your head that it all needs to be even and trying to figure out how to do that. And I agree, that's a really overwhelming way of thinking at it. That is not how I personally think about it at all. The way that I think about it, when I picture in my head more like a pie chart, like a circle, and that circle is you, and that's what you have to give. That is your 100%. And the way that I picture it is that each of these things within your life, your work, your business, your family, your self-care, all that kind of stuff, are different pieces of your pie chart. And that is what's moving at all times. Sometimes one area of your life needs a bigger piece of the pie temporarily. Maybe something's going on in your personal life right now, and so that's taking up more of your time than it normally would. So when that piece of the pie gets bigger, it means that in order to keep things balanced, something else needs to get smaller temporarily. This is the way that I look at it. So we're not trying to keep everything even. That's ridiculous. Not everything deserves even attention, even if if you were capable. But most of us are also not capable of giving completely equal attention to all these different areas of our life. It's just not realistic. So the way I look at it is you only have 100% to give. That's it. And, sometimes you're not even operating at, what you consider to be your 100%. And that also can factor in, right? Sometimes maybe there's a piece of the pie that's just black, that's just not available right now because you don't have that available mental energy. And I think that's also really important to keep in mind. So many people, well, actually, I'll get to this. I'll get to this in a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself here. But So try switching that visual in your mind. We're not trying to keep anything even. We're just trying to make it so that you aren't expecting yourself to be able to give more than 100%. You don't have more than 100% to give. You don't. So, like, your different pieces of the pie cannot all be expanding, or you can't have one expand without something else changing. There has to be some give, right? If you want to be in a season where you're really putting a lot of time and your energy towards your business to try and see some growth and create some momentum, awesome, but you're probably going to have to pull back on something else. And so that is what balance really looks like to me is how can we make it so that you aren't trying to put more than 100% on your plate? If you want it, and sometimes it's not want, sometimes it's have to. Sometimes something happens that forces one area of your life to need more of your time than it normally does. But recognizing within yourself, okay, if I'm going to need to spend more time with my family right now because of whatever's going on, that means I'm probably going to have to pull back a little bit on business and probably pull back a little bit on some of my social stuff with my friends. And just looking at it in that way, I think is a much healthier perspective for most of us than thinking, oh my gosh, this new thing just came up, but I can't slow down in anywhere else. So I guess I just have to figure out how to pull another 10% to give out of thin air. That's not like stop doing that to yourself. That's I think why so many people are overwhelmed because they have this idea that like, oh gosh, this is happening and like to keep things balanced, now I have to figure out how to, keep even more. And you just put way too much on your plate that you're just not one person is capable of doing. And that is why it can feel so overwhelming. So try looking at it like a pie chart, visualize that in your head instead of thinking things need to be even. You just can't be expecting yourself to give more than the 100% that you have. So kind of visualizing in your head, how big are your different pieces of your pie right now? Like what are your different kind of categories? What are your pieces for you personally? Because it's a little bit different. I mean, I think most of us have pretty similar, but it's a little bit different for all of us. And then once you know what they are, kind of visualizing like, where is my time going right now? Where is my energy going right now? Is that where I want it? Like, do I like the distribution? And if not, how can I shift things around? And then just always keeping in mind as things come up and as something is demanding a bit more of you for a while, where can I pull back somewhere else so that I still stay balanced within my 100%? So I hope that's helped you. It might not. You might already look at it that way, or you might say, yeah, I kind of hear you, but it still just doesn't really help me. That's okay. Again, like I said, you don't have to use any term that doesn't click with you, but I have just seen time and time again where people really struggle with this concept. And then when I have a conversation with them, I find they're looking at it in what I consider to be the wrong way because it's not realistic to expect everything to be even. So, what can we do? Some just quick little tips that I have for you of ways that you can help make this a little bit easier for yourself. So, the first thing I want you to keep in mind, this is where I almost jumped the gun a little bit, is that available time, available minutes in your day does not equal available capacity or mental energy. You need to be mindful of both of these. It can be so easy, and I have fallen into this trap with myself many times of like, okay, well, I'm going to have about an hour right here in my day. So I'm going to expect that I can do this, this, and this, right? We pack like every minute of that hour with productive tasks. And this is extra hard for me because I have ADHD and I really struggle with time blindness. This is one of the biggest ways that my ADHD has always impacted my life. I am someone who has always struggled with my time management, with planning ahead of how much I can get done, how long tasks are going to take me, arriving places on time. It's a nightmare. It's awful for me. And for so long, everything in society basically sent me the message that I do this because I'm a self-centered person who doesn't care about other people and think my time is more important than theirs. And that was really hard for me because I was like, I don't feel that way. I try, if you knew how hard I tried to be on time and I still somehow can't do it. Like, anyway, okay, now I'm going down a rabbit hole that we don't need to go down. But anyway, I think it's really important to be mindful of available time is not always the same as available mental energy or capacity to do a task in that time. And so making sure you're being realistic with yourself about what you can actually get done during that time. and not expecting that you should just be this like workhorse machine who can work at all times no matter what's going on. Make sure that you're factoring in that you're a human being and you're going to be tired and you're going to be maybe struggling with your creativity sometimes, or there's certain tasks that I've talked about this a bit before, but there's certain tasks that while I do have some time in the morning to do them, they just don't get done because my brain just isn't on enough for that kind of task in the morning. And then I would try that for a while and then beat myself up because I was wasting that hour, and eventually I had to just shift what do I think I could get done there and what actually can I be capable of doing. So that's one thing, is to stop expecting yourself to be able to fill every minute of your time with productivity. And I'm saying this one to myself big time. This did not used to be a struggle for me, but now that I have so much less time and so much less kind of autonomy in what my life and my day looks like, I really have to struggle with not trying to fill every minute with productivity. So if you need that reminder, here it is, okay? That you're going to wear yourself out, and you don't need to fill every last minute that you have. And you're probably not going to do that anyway. And then you're going to be mad at yourself for quote unquote wasting time when you didn't waste time. You just put unrealistic expectations on yourself most of the time. The next thing you want to think about is, how can you lighten your load? What can you take off your plate? There's a lot of ways that you can go about this. So you might need to work on saying no. You might need to work on not volunteering to do all of these things for other people. You might need to prioritize yourself for a while. And you have to make these decisions for yourself about where your priorities are in your life. I'm not here to tell you where they are or where I think they should be. I think you just really want to be mindful for yourself of, where are they, and am I making decisions that are going to serve my own goals? I think a lot of times, especially the type of people that are drawn to me, can be the self-sacrificing personalities that want to do things for other people. And I love that about us. I think it's great to an extent, but I think we also need to remember to, put on our own oxygen masks, and that our own goals matter and our own wants and needs do matter. I cannot tell you how many times over the years I have been working with a client who's already struggling to get things done, already feeling overwhelmed. And then we come to a call and they're like, oh, yeah, I took on this huge leadership role at my kid's school. Or, oh, yeah, I volunteered to do this giant project for this organization that I like. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You were already at capacity. Why would you why would you do that right now? So I think we just really need to take a look at, are we doing this to ourselves a little bit? And I don't say this like, I don't want to sound blamey, but I also think we need to look at, are you saying yes to all these things that you should not be saying yes to? And there's a line where it's your responsibility to say no. And if that's hard for you, that's hard for me. I get it, but work on it. We can't just say that's hard for me and I guess I'll just take on what everyone else wants me to do until it eventually like lands me in the hospital because I'm so burnt out. I think you need to, at a point, stand up for yourself and look at your own needs. And again, I know this is hard. I know. I'm not trying to come across as victim blamey at all. But I also think that, like, if you know that you already don't have enough time and you're already spread too thin, please don't take on more responsibilities, especially ones that someone else could absolutely do, that don't need to be done by you, that you just feel guilty, or you just, well, I don't know, and like those kind of things. Okay, we need to be really mindful in both personal life and business. You can struggle with this on both sides of it. You can also look at, is there a more efficient way that I could be doing things? Is there something that I could let go of, either temporarily or permanently, that I'm doing that doesn't really need to be done? Are there ways that I can make this faster? Can I outsource some of this so that someone else can do it for me? Can I lean into something like AI tools? And I just talked about this in a recent episode. I am not a big fan of you having it like write things for you or taking over the decision-making role in your business, but little things like the example that I used with this podcast, right? I record my podcast and then I take the transcript and I give it to ChatGPT, that is trained well on me and my voice and all of that kind of stuff. And I give it my actual episode. And then it helps me come up with a title and show notes and little things that just make the process faster for me. So can you find things like that that can help you speed up and help the tasks that you're doing not take so much time and energy? The new prompt buddies that I am putting out every month are a really great example of this. Maybe you can do content on your own. But if it takes you 2 hours a day, that's not good. We need to work on that. How can we shorten that time? So it doesn't have to be my prompt buddy, it can be anything. But what can you find that allows you to still create content, but do it a lot faster and with a lot less energy needed from you so that you still have that time and energy to give to the other areas of your life? Looking at where is something in my life or business that's taking way more time than it needs to? Can I eliminate it? Can I outsource it? Or can I find a way to do it more efficiently? Looking at those things that take a ton of your time that maybe aren't even really creating the results that you want and asking yourself, is there a different way I could be doing this? There isn't always. Sometimes it's the way that it has to be done, but a lot of times there are ways that you could be making those changes so that it takes a lot less time and energy from you. The next thing is having a plan. And I know this is kind of boring sounding, and I'm also someone who doesn't really identify as a big planner, and I'm not someone that likes to have a strict schedule or a lot of structure. I need to feel like I have that freedom and flexibility in my life. So I understand if anyone else who's like me, who's like, I don't know, having a plan, I feel so stuck and I don't stick to it and all that. And I get that. I don't think you need to plan out every minute of your day. And I think you do need some big picture planning, and you do need to know, what are you supposed to be getting done today or this week? Because if you don't, if you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off all the time saying, I don't know what needs done. Oh, wait, I think this needs done. Oh, I forgot this. Oh, I didn't do that. Oh, I'm dropping the ball here. Like if you have no plan and you're just running around trying to remember it all and you're just trying to keep it all in your brain, you're making it so much harder for yourself than it needs to be. Your brain is burning off so much valuable energy just trying to hold on to and remember all of these things that you could just write down. And then your brain wouldn't be spending all of that time on the task of trying to remember these things. Write them down, you guys, or find some sort of system for yourself. Like, stop putting yourself into this state. And I'm saying this to myself as much as you, okay? Because I do this to myself too. I don't make a plan and I run around and I say I want the flexibility and the freedom, but then with that flexibility and freedom, I'm running around freaking out and just so overwhelmed and so stressed out. And I'm like, this does not feel flexible or free. Like this is not really what I was picturing, you know? So having a plan so that you know what needs to get done will save you so much time. When you run around saying, what do I need to do? Oh, wait, I need this. Oh, I need that. And you're bouncing and you like, and again, I'm speaking to myself. I do this too. You write half a message and then you're over here looking something up. And the next thing you know, you're scrolling and then you're over here half writing an email and then you're over here and you're like, oh, wait, I need to do that. And you're just like, nothing's getting done because you don't have a plan. And there are some days where my brain is just scattered like this. And it's often because I'm already low on mental energy because of everything else going on in my life. And that's, it just is what it is. But a lot of times it's just that lack of plan. It's that you just haven't sat down and decided what you need to get done. So you're just freaking out trying to figure out what it should be at all times. And you just kind of like keep yourself in this perpetual state of, I don't know where I should be. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so overwhelmed. And the only reason you're in that state is because you put yourself into it. Now, not with everything, right? There can be different areas of your life, but especially with your business. If that's you with your business, freaking out every day saying, I don't know what to do, I'm so overwhelmed, that's because you just haven't made a plan. You haven't made a decision to change that. You are allowing yourself to stay in this place. There's so many things that you could be doing. There's so many ways you could sit down and make a plan. My business reset helps you with this. I'm sure there's a million YouTube videos and podcast episodes and blog posts. Like, just find the resources. It's out there. Create a plan for yourself. I would love to help you with this, but you can do this on your own or with someone else. But make a plan. Stop running around saying, I don't know what to do. That is making everything so much more exhausting and overwhelming for no reason. And then it's still not getting done because you don't remember it all and because you wasted half your day being stressed out and overwhelmed and saying, I don't know what to do and I don't know how I'm going to get it all done. When if you would just sit down and have a loose plan for yourself, it does not need to be a super detailed plan. It can be a very loose plan, but knowing what you're going to do and when you're going to do it and how will eliminate so much of that and help you feel more balanced because you're not running from one activity to the next, freaking out and saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And I'm so overwhelmed and I feel like my whole day is just wow, right? Like that's not what we want. And then the last tip that I have for you is really looking at the long term of your business. This this is a tricky one, and I'm saying this one to you because I have been struggling with this one myself. I think there's kind of two different areas you want to focus on building your business. And ideally, you want to be doing both simultaneously. But there's kind of the day to day current needs of your business, like what's happening right now. So that's the thing you're launching this week, what you're focused on promoting next week, what you're doing right now, the sale that you're running, the content that needs created, the whatever, like the day to day current, this is what's happening right now in my business. And then there's also the more kind of behind the scenes, long term growth of your business, putting those things into place. Maybe this looks like getting your website really optimized and getting all of your sales pages to the point where you're happy with. It can be so easy when you're creating something like a website to kind of not like rush through it, but to get it good enough to get published with the intentions of refining over time. It's much harder to actually go back and do that refining over time, right? That kind of stuff. So maybe this looks like you sitting down and creating those funnels for all the different things that you sell. Maybe this looks like you putting in the time for the blog that you want to grow, that you want to be kind of your long-term source of leads for your business. Or same thing with something like a podcast, YouTube, something that's more evergreen and can grow over time. Maybe this looks like you putting a plan into place for your email list and how you want to grow it. Whatever this could be for you, those long-term things that are going to allow your business to be kind of more automated and take less immediate day-to-day work from you, make sure that you're focusing on those and giving them some of your time and attention too. It's really easy to get caught up in the day-to-day fires and the little things that feel urgent and need to be done right now and make no progress on this kind of behind-the-scenes long-term stuff. But the problem with that is that you can't get off the hamster wheel. You're going to be stuck in the day-to-day fires forever. So if you're putting effort into those things that can grow long term and can start to be those things that take a lot of effort up front, but eventually kind of take on a life of their own, and your YouTube channel is bringing you new leads every week, and those people are signing up for the freebie that you're promoting and they're going through your email sequence and they're buying your thing on the end. And all of a sudden you have this like, wow, all these people are coming into my business and buying stuff and I'm not having to do as much to make it happen. That is how you achieve more of that long-term balance. That is how you look at what are my long-term goals with my business so that things are still growing and things are still happening, but it doesn't require as much day-to-day time and effort from me. So make sure you're focusing on that stuff too. And you're looking at what are these long-term plans? What am I going to do to get off the hamster wheel so that it's not a constant scramble every day to try and figure out what I'm going to do and where my next sale is coming from. So make sure you're looking at that long-term stuff. And it's really hard to make time for it because there's always present fires, right? There's always something that you could be doing for the present. And it feels like, yeah, but that stuff's going to like pay off so long down the line that, yeah, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. Even if it's like one day a week that you make a little bit of progress on that kind of stuff, it will add up over time. And that's what's going to allow you to achieve more balance and still show up for more places in your life and business without it taking as much hands-on effort from you on your day-to-day. So, okay, there's my thoughts on how you can achieve some more balance in your life and your business. And of course, this is such an individual topic and, it's not always as simple as people like to make it sound, and I completely get that. But I also have worked with so many people over the years that are kind of keeping themselves in this state. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. Not to make you feel bad, not to shame you. I've done it myself and I'm still struggling with it in ways. Like I told you, I completely hear you. I understand where you're coming from. And I am not here to try and make you feel bad about it. I'm just here to bring this to your awareness because if not, you can't get off this cycle. And it's very rare for your business to like explode and become super successful when you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off every day and stressed out and so overwhelmed and like I'm not saying it can't happen by any means. Sure, it can, but it's not the best state to have yourself in when it comes to creating that success and actually enjoying it, right? That's the other key is that how many people have, reached the milestones they set for themselves and then looked around and said, but I'm still miserable. Like what happened? On paper, I have the things I said I wanted, but I'm not happy. And that's how this can happen is when you're completely off balance and you're not taking that step back. So I hope switching the visual in your mind to more like a pie graph can help you stop trying to put more than you have to give onto your plate. I hope that you will be mindful of not just the time that you have, but also your mental energy. I hope that you will sincerely think about how you can lighten your own load, what you can take off your plate, how can you get better at saying no to things that don't need to be you, how can you use tools to help you speed things up and have them take less effort from you, can you outsource, anything like that. Having a plan so that you know what needs done and you're not just running around trying to freak out and figure out what needs done. You know how much time you waste trying to figure out what you should be doing when you could have just done it? That's the beauty of having a plan. And then looking at the long term, taking those steps towards what's actually going to get you off the hamster wheel so that you can achieve more of that balance in your life and business, because more things in your business have systems and are in place and are not taking as much day-to-day hands-on effort from you. So, okay, I really hope you found this helpful. If you did, I would love for you to message me. Please send me a message or an email. I really love hearing from you guys about which podcast episodes really connect with you. It really means a lot to me. So I hope that you found this helpful. If you want some help with this, I would love to either have you go through my business reset or work with you one-on-one and just talk about making a plan for yourself. Or you're welcome to come on into my squad membership. If you do that, you will get access to the business reset and the ability to talk to me about it personally. So that's probably what I would really recommend that you do if you're relating to this. But either way, I hope that this has given you some things to think about and that you'll start making some changes so that you stop feeling so out of balance and overwhelmed all the time, because that is a really exhausting place to be. And it really hurts your creativity and your motivation and all of those things. So, all right, here's to finding a little bit more balance, whatever that means to you. I hope this episode inspires you to go take action on something you have been overthinking. As much as I wish you could, you cannot think your way to success, so promise me you're going to go take some action today. Head over to overthinkingentrepreneur.com to find all the cool stuff I've made for you over the years, like my free guide to getting more social media engagement and my Facebook group, Dynamite Entrepreneurs, which has a free course on social media basics.